This right here is a dividend tracker with pretty much more or less every single stock and ETF across all my long-term dividend growth portfolios. Now in this video, we're going to go over every single position and how many shares of each position, along with how much I'm currently earning on a monthly and yearly basis when it comes to my 7-figure dividend portfolio. Now, if you're looking to become a dividend growth investor or possibly even already are one, make sure to stick around because you are not going to miss a thing. I just finished my brand new dividend investing ebook where I share exactly how I went from zero to now over 7 figures invested, and also on how I earn more than $6,000 per month in dividends. I also finished my custom dividend tracker that you can use to track your dividend income progress on an ongoing basis. So make sure to grab yourself a copy of my dividend investing ebook and the new dividend tracker today. It's the first link in my description. So first, a tiny little backstory on this portfolio and on me. I'm currently a 31-year-old dividend growth investor that's been investing for around 7 years now, and I started investing around 7 years ago when I had a business liquidity event. Now over time, pretty much more or less on a daily basis, I've been buying different stocks or ETFs across the market, and the main criteria that I have overall is that I want to collect different stocks or ETFs that for one pay dividends, have the potential to go up in share price over time, and a bonus on top have some significant dividend growth. Now I currently have thousands upon thousands of different shares in this portfolio, and it currently earns me around $6,200 per month on dividends if we were to average out all the dividends throughout the year. Now the first position in the portfolio is my 1,748 shares of BlackRock Enhanced Equity Dividend Trust, or ticker symbol BDJ. Now BDJ is one of my favorite closed-end funds. I've owned it for years now. I am currently down a little bit on it as far as share price goes, but BDJ alone pays me over $100 on a monthly basis. Next, we have around 1,420 shares of ticker symbol DIVO, or the Divo Amplify Enhanced Dividend Income ETF. Now, Divo is a super high quality covered call style ETF that has a really high quality basket of holdings. Divo also has a starting dividend yield of right around 4 or 5%. And across all my portfolios, I currently earn just over $215 on a monthly basis from Divo. Next in the portfolio, we have around 1,262 shares of Verizon, ticker symbol VZ. Now Verizon, I unfortunately bought at the higher end of where Verizon was trading a few years ago. And I bought a ton of shares of Verizon thinking that's all. Even though telecommunication doesn't necessarily have the brightest, most best future ahead, I thought Verizon was definitely an outlier out of the other companies, out of the other stocks. So I loaded up on Verizon, and although I am down on the share price of it, Verizon alone pays me around $350 a month. And that's if I was to, of course, divide Verizon's dividend payments throughout the year. Next up, I have 1,000 shares of ticker symbol AAPL, or Apple stock. Now, Apple I luckily bought quite a bit back, and I've been holding on to it for years now. And Apple is my biggest winner as far as the position goes. I obviously should have bought much more Apple back in the day than I did, but Apple as of right now pays me around $87 more or less per month. The next position in this portfolio is my 2,715 shares of QYLD. QYLD is another one I've been holding on to for years now, and with all my QYLD, I'm just shy of around $500 on a monthly basis, which it's definitely one of my biggest dividend payers throughout the entire portfolio. Next up, we have around 2,800 plus shares of Realty income. Throughout this year, I am going to be grabbing more Realty income. I do buy Realty income pretty much on a weekly basis, looking to get up to 3,000 shares plus throughout this year. With Realty income throughout all my portfolios, I think I'm earning around $700 or $800 on a monthly basis. Next up, we have 1,248 shares of JEPI, the JP Morgan Equity Premium Income ETF. JEPI across all the portfolios, depending on how much JEPI pays on a monthly basis, because JEPI does pay different amounts ongoingly, but right around $400 or $500 a month. Next, we have ticker symbol EPD and Enterprise Products, 740 shares of this one. One of my favorite single stocks. You guys definitely should look into it if you are interested in a higher starting yield stock. $120 more or less from EPD. Next, we have BlackRock Science Technology Trust, ticker symbol BST, 700 shares, which pay me on average around $200 a month. Next up, we have the dreaded ticker symbol MPW Medical Properties Trust. Yes, I know, I wish I would have never bought as much of this one as I did, but unfortunately you can't win every single purchase throughout your investing journey. At least I haven't. 600 plus shares of MPW pay me around $34 a month, which even though MPW did cut their dividend recently, that dividend will probably be cut again soon, at least if I were to tell the future. Next, we have some JEPQ. We have 503 shares of JEPQ, one of my favorite buy and hold cover call style ETFs, 250 or less on a monthly basis from JEPQ. Next, Omega Healthcare, OHI. We have 300 shares of OHI that pay around $59 on a monthly basis. Then we have ticker symbol NUSI, the nationwide NASDAQ 100 risk managed income ETF, 246 shares, pay more or less $36 a month. Then we have XYLD, the global X S&P 500 cover call fund, around 200 shares more or less, and they pay around $70 a month. Then we have one of my favorite positions of all time that I've been buying a ton of over the last year now, SEHD, the Schwab US Dividend Equity ETF, around 520 shares across all the portfolios. They pay on average around $122 more or less per month. Then ticker symbol MO, we have Altria, 310 shares, one of the little bit more risky higher yielders in the portfolio, around $96 in dividends on average. Then we have National Retail, ticker symbol NNN, 261 shares, that earn around $60 more or less on a monthly basis. A few more positions to go through. We do have 100 shares of JP Morgan that pay on average right around $40 a month in dividends if we were to divvy them out. Then we have Vici, one of the popular REITs that a lot of you guys probably own or definitely have heard of. Vici on average pays around $45 on a monthly basis. We have some shares of Kinder Morgan, 59 shares of that pay around $5 or $6 on a monthly basis. Then we have one of my favorite monthly paying dividend stocks. We have Main Street Capital, 231 shares of Main, which I think I do have more Main across my portfolios. I probably need to update this one. But at least as of this tracker, we have around $61 a month in dividends. Then we have 89 shares of Walgreens. Walgreens did just recently cut their dividend, but we're still sitting at around $14 or so. 351 shares of WP Carey earn me around $100 or $150 a month. Next, we have ticker symbol PNW, Pinnacle West Corporation, 47 shares of that, which earn around $13 or so per month. Then we have 255 shares of TSLY, which depending on how much TSLY pays could earn anywhere from around $50 to $100 a month. Then we have just a few shares of things like UPS, PBA, we have ABR, EXR, SPG, SVOL, we even have a few shares of Stag, T-Row, KMB, and then we have 200 shares of Coca-Cola, 700 shares of Public Storage, and around 3,200 shares of Vanguard's VNQ. So that's for the most part, more or less every single position throughout my multiple different dividend growth portfolios, which again, I've been building out for several years. Now, looking back over the years, there's been times where I've built out different positions. And again, over time, my strategy has sort of also shifted. And at times I've focused a lot harder on buying positions that offer, let's say, higher dividend growth or maybe a higher starting dividend yield. Or at times I spent all of my cash balance buying things like Apple stock. But simply put, like I said towards the beginning of the video, my strategy has pretty much remained the same. I want to buy different assets that pay dividends from day one, even if it might be a smaller dividend, but I also want to buy assets that have the potential to grow in share price over time. And trust me, there's some positions in this portfolio that will probably have the potential to grow a lot more than others. For example, a stock like Apple compared to Verizon, I never once thought that Verizon is necessarily going to outperform Apple on price return, but even still, Verizon offers things that Apple stock doesn't. Now, my longer term goal for this portfolio, at least from this year on, I want to really build out my position in the Schwab US Dividend Equity ETF. And overall, I really want to focus on buying more high quality dividend growth ETFs, adding them into the portfolio here ongoingly. Now, to be more specific, some of the ETFs that I'm planning on adding over time from here on out are going to be things like SHD, things like DGRW, things like DGRO, and then later on, maybe things like VIG or even VU. Now, I started my dividend growth investing journey years ago when I signed up for the Robinhood app brokerage and bought a few shares of Capital One, followed by a few shares of Realty Income shortly after. And for several years now, I've been basically taking every single dollar that I've been earning throughout my businesses and through my jobs and been investing it right into the stock market, buying different dividend paying stocks and ETFs that all pay dividends and have the potential to pay more and more in dividends over time. Which brings me into my number one takeaway that I would share with any brand new investor that's just getting started, and even if you are already invested in the market, listen closely. One of my biggest pieces of advice is for a dividend growth investor is to invest into, or at least try your best, to find different stocks or ETFs that offer a nice, steady dividend growth rate. Now, dividend growth is basically how much in dividends a stock or ETF pays year over year. Like this right here, for example, is the Schwab US Dividend Equity ETF, SHD, which over time at least has paid more and more in dividends year over year, which has allowed investors like myself to get paid basically more and more over time by doing absolutely nothing. Now, for example, last year, SHD paid around $2.66 per share. So every single share of SHD that an investor owned last year, they got paid around $2.66 in dividends for every single share. Now, just for some perspective, around 10 years ago, SHD was paying $1.05 per share. So over the last, say, 10 or so years, SHD shareholders are almost getting paid 3 times as much in dividend income as they were getting paid around 10 years prior. Now, because a lot of humans and even investors have a hard time looking at things on a long time frame. And I get that, I struggle with that myself. But as investors, we have to zoom out and look at the long term and try to find different opportunities that are not only going to help us today, but hopefully help us long term into the future. But when it comes to my personal dividend growth portfolio, I want to hear from you guys down below. What is your number one favorite position throughout all the holdings in this portfolio as it sits currently? And what is your least favorite position? Drop it in the comments down below. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to please drop a like and subscribe for more future content like this. Thanks as always for stopping by. And if you are interested in investing, make sure to check out these recent videos I posted right here.